Hello and welcome to the Franchise Tag Podcast with me, your host, Freddie Hall. Welcome back once again, Adam. Us as a duo, I mean, we might as well be, I don't know, Puka Nakua, Devontae Adams, Cooper Kupp and
I'll
Jackson
be the
Smith.
old one, yeah? Is that where we're going with that? Yeah, you're going down that route?
A lot of things came to my brain right then, and I'm not going to say any of them because there was a lot of cancel culture going on in my brain just then. A lot of it. Well, week one. It's in the books. We've had week one finally. This episode is being recorded Monday night, so we only have one more game left on the slate, which is the Minnesota Vikings against the Chicago Bears. What will be happening tonight. Well, we're not recording nowhere near when it's meant to start, so it's not like we're even going to end this and go and watch it or anything like that. And you may get used to this, but I don't stay up late for any games because I can't anymore because I just get so tired. And I don't stay for any of them, Adam. Is that shocking?
Have you given up? Is that it? That's it. Age has hit you.
I have to admit, I went out yesterday afternoon and saw some friends, and I wouldn't say I wasn't drunk when I got home, but I'd had one or two drinks. And I'm not really fuzzy or anything like that, but I was like, I was a bit tired. By the time I got to like 8, I was like, oh, I'm like quite tired now. And I still got into bed for like 9:30. And I just caught up this morning. There's just so much on there now online that you can just catch up so quickly. You know, with the Zone app and YouTube, Sky Sports, everything like that. Well, I don't need to anymore. I need to exhaust myself for this podcast.
So I must admit, I do. It normally finishes about 12:30, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The late games, and that's normally me. I rarely see anything of Sunday night football.
Well, Sky's currently in America. That's why he's not on here at the minute. He was in Wisconsin. So he went to the Wisconsin Badgers game the other day, which looked like a lot of fun. He seemed to have a really good time. I texted him saying about the games at 1:00 and he went, I have no idea. I'm so dreadfully hungover. So he must have had a really good time at Wisconsin. I know he's going down to Miami as well. He's potentially going to the Miami game, I think, next weekend. And I'm off to Philadelphia.
Oh, what a treat.
I'm off to Philadelphia this week. Not to watch the games in Italy. I'm going to see a wedding. Like I bought a ticket. Well, I didn't buy a ticket to get there, I suppose, but I'm going to a wedding. But we are doing the wedding's on the Saturday, and then the Sunday we are at the wedding party. We're all meeting at Sports Bar to watch the Kansas Eagles game. So like it's a Super Bowl rematch, and I'll be part of I have said I'm going to be wearing my Steelers jersey, which I've been told by the bride to be. That is a bit of a risk. Be prepared to get some shit off of Philly fans. So that'll be good fun.
Yeah, I'll just be here, doing what I do.
Doing what I do. Just ticking over. Not staying up late, getting out in bed at 12:30, just ticking over. Well, thank you for watching the video that we put out last week or listening to on any podcast platforms. Like I said, we are back every week for our talk show. Obviously, a fantastic betting show that happened on the weekend as well with Andrew and Adam. Some winners as well, I hear. So make sure you check that out as well this week, as well as our college show with Andrew and Alex. 2 fantastic shows that everyone is very, very passionate about and enjoys a lot. And funnily enough, we do sort of know what we're talking about on this podcast. By the end of this video, you may not feel that way, but we like to think we do. We're going to begin this episode with the tale of two quarterbacks in 2 different places, but know each other so well in a way. From Aaron Rodgers being in the New York area, being at the Jets, moving over to my Pittsburgh Steelers, and Justin Fields, who was momentarily at the Steelers, started a few games and then was benched for Russell Wilson, moving over to the New York Jets and started. We got the first glimpse of what Rodgers and Fields' careers may be in these now opposing franchises that they were at. And Pittsburgh Steelers came away with the win, 34-32. I was on a podcast and I said this would be a dreadfully dull game, one that would match the Cardinals and the Saints game. And I said it was going to be very close though, but I didn't envisage a 66-point game. And you put in the chat that the over-under was 38 for this game, which I said I would have definitely bet the under as well. So it's good that maybe I should watch your betting show a little bit more.
I think most people would have gone for the under, to be honest. It was crazy. The fact that they both nearly hit the over individually was pretty mental. But yeah, very surprising. game in respect to the total. It felt like both defenses really kind of disappeared in this game. It was strange what had happened, given how strong you would expect them to be. Pittsburgh, obviously, famously very strong defense over the years, and you kind of felt like the Jets have had a pretty strong defense. Last year wasn't great, but then you've got Aaron Glenn coming in as head coach, and you just sort of felt like it was going to be, a strong defensive performance. And they both kind of just fell apart pretty quickly. And it turned out that it became a bit of not a shootout, but sort of like just a high scoring game, which I don't think any of us saw coming. But yeah, I mean, both quarterbacks had really good games, and again, because I think we thought it was going to be such a defensive game, and that the defenses would take over. A little bit surprising that both of them did do as well as they did.
Yeah, it felt like week one defense, didn't it?
Yeah,
there's some cobwebs to be blown out by both teams. They both need to, some new players on each team. And I think they're only both going to improve. Like James, sorry if that echoed down your ears or on your video watching. So I just whacked my mic with my finger because I'm a flapper. That's my problem, and I've done it again. I keep my hands firmly underneath my bum. Maybe that's where I need to keep them. I watched this game. I also text Johnny, who's one of the contributors for the franchise tag guy over with the Off Grid. He's a Jets fan. Also messaging Will Varney, who's part of Talk Sport. He was over in Brazil, did some fantastic things over there. He's a Jets fan as well. And I was being very, very complimentary about this Jets team. And we'll start with Justin Fields. I was being very, very complimentary about him. 16 for 22, 218 yards. One touchdown, only sacked once as well, and then had 12 rushes for 48 yards, 2 touchdowns. I could not believe how composed he looked. And yes, maybe an element of that is that the defense wasn't at its or firing on all cylinders for the Steelers. But the rush was still there. I saw a heat map with Breece Hall, and he didn't run TJ Watt's way at all the whole game. So they knew the pressure was there, and the defense, did get to Fields on occasion, but for one sack, it was only for 6 yards as well. I mean, Fields looked like Ohio State Fields. This for me was maybe one of his best games ever in the NFL.
Yeah, it was strange, wasn't it? Like when you think of what you have had from Justin Fields all the time in the NFL, and yet he just looks so controlled and composed with everything. Every pass hit where he kind of wanted it to go. Obviously there were a few that kind of didn't quite go right, but the vast majority did. And also, one thing that we do know with Justin Fields is his rushing ability, and that was to be seen as well, getting the 2 touchdowns that he got from that. So yeah, I mean, his part, I think his sort of number, his grade at the end of it was 119. So it's a crazy, a really good performance from him.
119.1, and that was 5th in QBR.
Right.
Ninth in completion percentage at 72.7, first in passing success rate at 65.2, third in yards per attempt at 9.9, and he was 6th in rushing first downs amongst all rushers.
Yeah, and just that tells you pretty much the complete performance from him, and just shocking really that it from him, because you just haven't seen it so far. It's like, I mean, I think his time at the Bears, I think you could argue that there was some real sort of problems going on with the organization. It wasn't handled very well, and it was very difficult. And then when he was with the Steelers, it kind of felt like he looked better with the Steelers, but he didn't look great. And now, obviously, this is only one game, but it's a good platform for him to be able to move on. And maybe what you're seeing is a quarterback developing. Maybe that is what it's boiling down to. He's had time.
That's been a real common theme amongst a lot of our preseason content, and a lot of stuff
Yeah,
we've been saying is allowing these players to breathe, allowing them to develop, allowing them to mature within the NFL. Like the college game, from when players like Justin Fields were playing in college to now, it's different, and that's only what 6-7 years, maybe
yeah,
even less. Like it's completely changed, and the NFL has changed as well, so dramatically alongside it. And it takes time. It can take time for some players. Look at Baker Mayfield. Look at Sam Darnold. You know, it takes time for these guys. And Fields, I think he's just been allowed some freedom within. It felt like he was playing very free. It felt
yeah,
like he was playing with no pressure, which I feel like he should have been that way as well with Pittsburgh. But the Steelers the Jets are a huge organization as well, but the Steelers are also a historic organization. There's a Jets, and there is an expectation with the Steelers of winning, and you know the never having a losing record of Mike Tomlin. Whereas with the Jets, this is an experiment. Like it's not, it's maybe not do or die, I suppose. And I don't think Fields is necessarily feeling like that much pressure maybe for this. And he had fantastic players around him on there. I mean, Garrett Wilson looked just as good as ever. Mason Taylor looked pretty decent. I mean, Jeremy Ruckert, the tight end, was really good on the day as well. Breece Hall, which I text Johnny and Will this recency bias, and I've said it on another podcast. The recency bias with him is that he's not a good running back. He's a very good running back. He had a poor end to last season, but this guy can play. And when Fields has the legs as well, and a complimentary running back who's really good, and some good pieces, yeah, all right. Outside of Garrett Wilson, there is a dip. Josh Reynolds isn't it. You know, Jeremy Ruckert isn't it. Mason Taylor, I think, could be it, but I think he's going to have a bit of a moment. He was never going to be tight. He was not tight end one coming out of the draft that's just happened. That was heavily in favor of Colston Loveland and Tyler Warren at the Colts. Yeah. So I think he's just been allowed to breathe, and I hope he keeps this up. I mean, it was real pleasure watching him play. I mean, as a Steeler, I had my Steelers cap on at times and was like, well, you know, why can't we really stop this guy? But the runs were controlled. He did it in the right way. The passing was smart. He was playing smart. It just all clicked and all worked. Let's talk about Aaron Rodgers, though, for the Steelers. He was 22 for 30 on the day, 244 yards, 4 touchdowns. He did take 4 sacks. Interesting to know that neither of them had interceptions either. He did rush once for a -1 yard, but that's not his game. We know that's not Aaron Rodgers' game. And it is very, very, very evident. I think if you take Aaron Rodgers for what he is, which is a pure pocket passer now and not a risk taker at all, he's a very good quarterback still. And I think he showed much of the same. Everyone was saying, you know, Rodgers is out. I thought he was very, very good at the back end of last season. And I think it was just the situation that really people were saying he's not very good anymore. I didn't see anything wrong with his game, to be honest with you. I mean, he was 7th in completion percentage, 73.3%. He's first in passing touchdowns after this weekend. He had 4, obviously. 7th in first downs with 14, 9th in yards per attempt at 8.1, 2nd in QBR. Did take 4 sacks. That was 29th. Not great. But this offensive line is young and learning as well. And I think there is an element of sometimes he does hold on to it a little bit too much. But I came out of this going, we can win some games.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I felt like that was what. Yeah, I mean, like you say, when you look at the back end of last season with the Jets, it wasn't all bad. Like there was some good stuff. The problem is that it was all with Devontae Adams, and I think that people look at that and go, "Oh, well, it can only work because it's Devontae Adams." Yeah, and the connection between the two. But yeah, I thought he looked all right at the back end of last season, and again in this game, he looked decent. He looked all right. The issue with Rodgers is going to be that you're going to need an O line that is strong enough in order to be able to protect him, because, as you say, rushing is not the legs are gone in that respect, and you're probably it's something that it might end up being quite a common thing actually in this this show, where we talk about other teams as well later on, where it is a case of the O-line needs to be stronger, it needs to be better. And if you don't have that strong O-line, you need to be able to have a rushing quarterback who can escape. And unfortunately for Rodgers, that time has sort of passed him by now. So there is a limit to what you're going to get from him. But if you play him in the right way and you open up the receivers so that they can get away from the defense of the other team, then Rodgers is going to pick them off. He will be able to do that all day. That won't be a problem. So I think you can see that that's the good part of his game that he still has and probably will always have for as long as he wants to play. The fact that he was able to spread the ball around as evenly as what he did, I think will help as well. The fact that the Pittsburgh receivers, once you go past DK Metcalf, it does feel like there's a drop off, but at the same time, they're okay. They're not. It's not the end of.
When you look at targets on the day, Metcalf for 7, Calvin Austin for 6,
Yeah.
Pat Fryman for 3, Jonnu Smith for 6. That's quite a lot of distribution about, to be fair. And you're right, DK Metcalf, and then there's a drop off. Of course, I completely agree. But Calvin Austin had a good day as well, and he went for 70 yards and a touchdown in the end, like after on 6 targets, 4 receptions. So I think he can move it around. It's just the capability of the people that have it in their hands then. What I really do fear for him on the flip side of Fields is, man, the running game needs to really step up. I texted saying, why weren't we using Caleb Johnson? I've heard reports this morning that Caleb Johnson had a terrible preseason practice. He was not good, apparently. I didn't read that. I didn't know that. Admittedly, I am, though, a Steelers fan. I'm not permanently online about the Steelers. So, when you rush for 56 yards, the ball is then going to be on Rodgers' hands a lot more, and I don't think I think he needs he might want that, but he needs that complementary running game to protect him as much as a strong O-line, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's something where I think that you're seeing it with a lot of teams. It's like they just don't have everything. They need to be able to have a bit of everything in order for it to work so well. If you don't have that, it becomes a real issue because you're just leaning too much on one side, and you just can't do that and expect favorable results because it just doesn't work like that. But the run game, I mean, I would hope that Caleb Johnson comes through and does well in the end. I think he's definitely got the capability to do that. Jaylen Warren, the issue with Jaylen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell is that they're kind of pretty similar. I think that was what the problem was that they had with the run game yesterday, and that they couldn't sort of like change it up at all. It was just the same thing over and over again. And that's the only concern. So it's almost like there is a bit of a you're relying on Caleb Johnson to progress maybe a bit quicker than what it feels like he is. But it's really going to be about making sure that Rodgers doesn't get sacked too much, and 4 sacks in a game is probably a little bit too much, to be honest, for someone of his age, where he
got smoked on one of them as well.
Yeah,
absolutely bald.
And I think that's going to be an issue if you just keep doing that to him, because I think eventually he'll succumb to some form of injury if you just keep doing that.
Yeah, I for one obviously want to see Rodgers completely succeed in Pittsburgh, but it really warmed me over the weekend watching this game, going like, wow, Fields this could be good for Fields, like this could be really something for Fields, and I wished him all the best of luck when unfortunately we didn't keep him at Pittsburgh. I want him to go somewhere and succeed and be a number 1 as well, and he has 2 or 3 games like this. He's cementing himself as number 1. Definitely, he's got to be.
I think also for Fields and the Jets just in general, I think we were all very much like, before the season started, we were saying that we feel confident about the defense, that it's going to do well, that they'll be in games, they're going to be tougher to beat, and so that will slow down the fact that they won't fall away as much as what they have done in the past. I feel like this performance shows that they have the ability to be able to do that. You know, they're going to have to play the Dolphins twice. They've got games on their schedule where it kind of feels like games that maybe we thought it could be tough for them to win suddenly become a lot more winnable, and that there's a chance for them. So I still don't believe that they are a playoff team. I don't think they will be, but I think that it kind of shows that they've got a fighting chance against some of the other teams in their division that maybe people were thinking that they didn't.
Yeah, it's mental that we review and we were guilty of it. We review and give our predictions and stuff like that, and then you see week one, you look at the schedule totally differently.
Throw it out of the window.
yeah, throw it out the window. It doesn't. It's all nonsense. It's all nonsense. Well, that was fantastic talking about that. A quick word from our sponsor, and then we'll be moving on to talk about some more NFL over the weekend. Have you ever dreamed of managing your favorite pro football team? Do you watch your team and think the GM got it wrong again? Do you think you could do better? Here's your chance to prove it. Introducing Ultra GM, a revolutionary new take on fantasy football that makes you the general manager of your favorite team. Start with the team's full roster and build it through the draft, free agency, trades, and even the practice squad to create your ideal team. No fantasy football platform or GM simulator has ever provided the degree of realism and engagement that Ultra GM offers. And none has ever given you the opportunity to manage the team that you love and care for most. Compete against family, friends, and even your team's real GM to see who is the Ultra GM. You think you can do better than your team's GM? Visit ultragm.com to prove it. Thank you, Ultra GM, for sponsoring this video. We are moving on to our next topic, which is we may have been a little bit wrong about some things over here on the Franchise Tag podcast, but we also were maybe dramatically right about something as well. And we're going to turn our attention to the Colts dominating win, the Indianapolis Colts dominating win 33-8 against the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins only scoring 8 points in the fourth quarter. They were 25 points up going into the fourth quarter. Were we very wrong about Daniel Jones and this Indianapolis Colts team? I mean, 222 for 29 for Daniel Jones, 272 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 sack. He also had 7 attempts for 26 yards and 2 touchdowns, win rushing as well. They played very well, the Colts, and I will be the first to admit I said this team was going to be pants. But there's signs of life here for the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, they were better than what we thought, but I have some serious reservations on them given who they played. I think there was very little put up against them. That's the one thing I would say. And it was over before it kind of begun, to be honest. Like, I mean, I think at halftime we all knew this was it. It was done. And the Dolphins weren't going to come back from this. There was no offense at all from them. So I feel like the Colts did well. They beat what was in front of them, and they did it to a decent standard. I thought Daniel Jones picked the Dolphins offense apart very, very easily. And obviously he went and got himself 2 rushing touchdowns as well. And I think it's a funny one with Daniel Jones because you saw him when he played for the Giants that I just kind of felt like he had moments at the Giants where he did this. And then it all fell apart and not a lot happened afterwards. So I think that the Colts, the one thing I would say, the positive I would go with for the Colts is I thought their defense played very well. And they were running around like crazy and they were really trying. It's like they were trying to make an impression and show that they're better than what a lot of people had said. So from the defensive point of view, I thought they did very well. And they caused a lot of the problems for the Dolphins in that game. So I think defensively was great. The offense, I just felt, I mean, the the Miami defense was awful and was just all over the place. And it didn't feel like it was that difficult for the Colts to be able to do what they did. And, you know, when you've got a team that you're going up against who doesn't score until the fourth quarter, it takes all the pressure off. So it felt, everything went right for them. That's the one thing I'd say.
Yeah, I agree. Like, though I build this as us being incredibly wrong, I do still believe in what we were saying. I still don't think this team is going to be particularly good, but I think what the people say now. You got to give them their flowers. Like, you've still got to win games in the NFL, and Miami could have come out there and been really good on defense, or maybe they were being really good on defense, and Daniel Jones was playing an absolute blinder. I don't believe that narrative, but that narrative may be out there for some people. But Daniel Jones, when he joined the Colts, we didn't know whether he'd be starting over Anthony Richardson. We probably thought it's more than likely he's going to be making an appearance at some point for the Colts. Then he was announced as a starter, and everyone's immediately gone, this is only going to go badly. Look at what he did at the Giants. But as some people noted, that Daniel Jones did win. They got to the playoffs. He did win some games in New York, and he never had that much help. And actually, when you look at the talent that he has, in Jonathan Taylor, in Tyler Warren, Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, Adonai Mitchell had a good game, and he was nowhere last season. Mo Alley Cox, Josh Downs, like these are some decent players that really shone on the day. And they've added to what the Colts could potentially be. And we had our reservations about their defense, but we said that the names on paper were good. We've always said the names on paper were good. They've just not been able to get it over the line. And quarterback has been the issue for the Colts. Daniel Jones may not be the answer, but boy, did he made a statement of going, I could well be, and I could be your guy. I think you've got to give it to him that he came out there and got them 2 rushing touchdowns. He played physical. He picked them apart. We've just said in our other segment about Aaron Rodgers picking defenses apart because that's what he has to do now because he can't run. Daniel Jones has that element where he can run, but he systematically was picking the Dolphins apart with some absolutely incredible grabs by Alec Pierce and Josh Downs notably. And he's got that great run game to lean on with Jonathan Taylor, who fingers crossed can stay healthy because he's had an up and down career with his health. But when I think back to last season when I was in Munich and that such a bad game between the Indianapolis Colts and the New England Patriots. And then I look at this game and I think, wow, this is progress. This is the progress the Colts wanted to see, surely.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I mean, they want to be competitive, don't they? That's what it's all about for them. So it's like they want to show that they can do something. And I think that this shows that they can be competitive. It's like they can put up points. They have a way of doing it. They've got like we've always said, they've got decent players on that team. They're not a bad team. They're just not. I don't know. They've just struggled to find a quarterback all the time. And although Daniel Jones can do little bits here and there, it feels a little bit like this is like having Philip Rivers. This is like having Matt Ryan. It's that sort of thing where it's like it's just not someone who's at the end of their career, but it's someone of the kind of that talent level, and it just makes you feel a little bit like there's only so much that you're going to get from Daniel Jones, and that's where the problem comes in. But yes, it means that they, as I said, he can, if you give him time. That I know I go on about the Dolphins and all that. They had no pass rush. If you give him time to pick you apart, then I think he can do that. I think a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL can do that. If you just leave them there.
Yeah.
And just go, okay, I'll just throw it when I want. Eventually, the person's going to become available. That's how it works. And I think that's the problem. So yeah, I would say great O-line play from the Colts to be able to give him as much time as what he had, and that Daniel Jones, he did everything that he could do to prove that he is going to be a decent starter in the NFL for them. However, I will caveat it with the fact that the Dolphins were appalling.
Well, his completion percentage on the day was third, 75.9.
Yeah.
And that's below Jalen Hurts, Jared Goff, and then in front of Brock Purdy, Lamar, Justin Herbert. Like, that's pretty darn good. I mean, he only got one touchdown. I mean, what about first downs? He was top 10 in first downs. Yards per attempt, he was fourth with 9.4, only behind Justin Fields with 9.9, Geno Smith with 10.6, and Lamar with 11, QBR of 115.9. That was fourth. I mean, in fact, no, that's a complete lie. It was 115.9. That was sick. Sorry, it wasn't fourth, but still very, very good. That was behind Lamar, Aaron, Justin Herbert, Jordan Love, Justin Fields for the weekend. So, yeah, I think you can come out of this feeling really positive, considering how negative we were about it all after.
I think
last
you
week's show and in the preseason as well.
I think personally, it just, the problem is it was against the Dolphins and how bad they were. That's the issue. So it kind of makes you feel a little bit like, not sure. It'll be interesting to see what he does next week.
He's going up against next week.
They're playing the Broncos next week at home.
Ooh, so that's a litmus test, isn't it? Actually,
yeah, exactly. And I think that will you're almost going from quite possibly one of the worst defensive performances you've seen to arguably the best defense in the whole of the league. And, so it'll be interesting to see how he does, but he's got to play the Broncos. Away to the Titans feels like, it's one that he might be able to get a relatively good result out, but then he's got to play the Rams. So then first 4 weeks, so you're going up against the Broncos and the Rams defense. I think you'll learn a lot in these first 4 weeks when it comes to what Daniel Jones can do and what the Colts will be able to do. But it's a good start, and it's definitely going to give them a bit of confidence, and probably a bit of confidence in the building as well, that shows that we can do it. We are a solid team. We are capable. So I think it'll be interesting to see what happens. But the Dolphins were pretty bad.
I was about to say, as Colin Cowherd show, it goes, when Colin was right, when Colin was wrong. Well, we were wrong about the Colts, maybe, but when Colin was right, we said they would be trash. They were so bad. So bad. I mean, how did we not put in our predictions that Tyreek Hill be traded by the deadline? Like, why did we go so, eccentric on our stuff when it was, right there? Like, in the palm of our hands, it was right there that Tyreek's not... I mean, that looks like the writing on the wall. I mean, Jalen Waddle injury as well, becoming way too common. After that, what you got? Tanner Connor, Dwayne Eskridge, Nick Westbrook-Akina, and Alec Ingold's the fullback. But, I mean, you have got nothing if you've not got them. And 2 on the day, 14 for 23, 114 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, 3 sacks. They only ran the ball for, what was that in the end? 50, 64, 68 yards. No rushing touchdown. Well, no touchdowns at all, let alone blooming rushing touchdowns. I don't know why I'm saying that. But this team's in trouble. Real trouble.
Yeah, it looks like it's a... I think the worrying thing, in a way, the result is not the worrying thing. It was more the performance and just the fact that they didn't look like they were prepared. Like they just didn't look like they were ready to go at all, and that was really, really strange on both sides of the ball. It wasn't like there was no sort of there was no shining light at all. It was just poor from both sides. Tua just struggled. I would say that the Colts defense did put quite a lot of their pass rush was decent and did put a lot of pressure on them, but the O-line really, really struggled. Just couldn't stop it at all. So Tua was getting hit very, very early, and I mean, when it comes to the rest of the offense, there just wasn't much going on it. It's like the run game never really got going. They never got past the D-line that much. I thought Achane had an okay game, and obviously he was the one who came up with the touchdown in the receiving game in the fourth quarter. But but yeah, they just didn't look like they were. They didn't look like they were ready. They looked like it was preseason still, and
That's
just
been the
not.
reports, hasn't it? That's been the reports. They've been reports saying that the practice was terrible and that they seemed completely not at the races.
Yeah,
That seemed very dysfunctional. I mean, that was on the combined practices, weren't there? There was reports coming out going they looked miles off it, and they looked miles off it again. And you know what? They're going to the Patriots next week, I believe. I think they're going. I'm reading this the right way. No, sorry, they're hosting the Patriots. Apologies.
oh, they're playing them. I know that.
But I mean, that's the Patriots. We don't know exactly what they are just yet, but it's not going to be an easy schedule. It's not going to be easy for them at all. They need to figure it out pretty quick because they'll end up with no coach. They'll have their best players gone, and they'll end up with number 1 draft pick. And arguably, you could argue they don't need a quarterback. So then where do they go with it? I would argue they probably could look at quarterback myself and move off of Tua. But this is it's just such a tire fire. Such tire.
Yeah.
The Colts, I think with the Colts, I could see a dip. I could definitely see a dip. There's going to be bad days for them. And I do think they're not going to be great this year, but I think there'll be games where they will look fantastic. And it will be very much a roller coaster ride, maybe for this Indianapolis Colts team. This Dolphins team, I don't see the bright light. I don't see where the positives come from here.
I think this Patriots game coming up next week, it's weird to say that the second week 2 is a must-win game is pretty ridiculous, but it does kind of become a bit of a must-win game. You know, they've got to play.
It's a silence the haters game.
Yeah, it is. It's a
silence the noise game, and if you don't silence noise, that noise will get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
They've got to play the whole of the AFC North at some point where you look at it and you go, well, based on what I saw from the Steelers, I don't see them winning that, and I definitely don't see them beating the Ravens and the Bengals. The Browns actually looked semi-competent at times, and you just sort of think, well, this is going to be very difficult then to get wins from these games. They've got to play the Bills twice. It's difficult, and you just sort of think, okay, so something like the Patriots, who are a team that have got a lot of new starters and they're trying to embed their starters, this is an opportunity. You need to get this win for this game. But it's very difficult to see it because you just sort of think, for a team to do what they did and sort of just fold so quickly with a head coach who's literally just starting his 4th season with them, it screams of like they just don't believe the message is essentially what it is, and they're not buying it. And then you've got all these problems with Tyreek, and you kind of feel like you got rid of a lot of the so-called, guys, bad apples that make a lot of noise in Jalen Ramsey and Javon Holland. They said that about him. But you've still got Tyreek there, and it's really difficult to see whether or not this is going to work. And I just don't think it will. I think it's just a downward spiral, to be honest.
Final subject for our show, and that is, I mean, it's not often you smile, but this might make you crack a little bit. Well, he already has. Look, he's smiling.
That's a bit harsh. It's a bit harsh. It's not often.
I'm only messing. You smile quite a bit. You do tend to laugh. I feel like you hate laughing at me and Sky when we say something funny. I feel like you're like, oh, they did say something funny.
I like to think of myself as the Roy Keane of the podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think you laugh a lot more than maybe.
Yeah.
You do.
Can't help it laughing at you two. So
Well, yeah, there is that as well. Is this going to be the start of a dip, a downward spiral, some may say, for the Detroit Lions after losing 27-13 to the Green Bay Packers? Double digits, as you said to me earlier, was complimentary of them. I have admittedly not watched this game in its entirety, but watched a lot of I've seen most of it. I've seen the key bits anyway. I didn't watch the whole game, but I believe you did watch the whole game, or were you again watching just the clips? Because I know you don't particularly watch full games.
Yeah, I had Red Zone on for most of it, but I did watch. I did turn it over and watch a bit of this instead of Red Zone. So yeah, I did see quite a bit.
Well, the biggest worrying signs were that they only rushed for 44 yards on the day, no rushing touchdowns. Their offense, Jared Goff 31-39, 225 yards, a touchdown, interception, 4 sacks. Sam Laporte on 79 yards on the day. When you read stats like that, people are always like, yeah, well, that sounds like a good offense. No, that sounds like an offense that was trying to claw back. That doesn't sound like an offense that was in the game. The stats are a lot more evenly distributed when teams are in games. The throwing the yards at the throw yards, the attempts, they become so much more bloated when you are chasing a game. You look on the flip side of it, 16 for 22 for Jordan Love, 188 yards, 2 touchdowns. Lions last year, best offense in the league, second in yards, fourth in passing touchdowns, sixth in rushing yards, third in rushing touchdowns. Both coordinators went over the summer. Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator to Chicago Bears, and Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator to New York Jets. Is this a little bit of a coming down to earth season for this Detroit Lions team?
I think it probably will be. We all kind of said that they were going to drop off, didn't we? Not like an insane amount, but the idea of 15 wins was going to be tough. And sort of around that mark, it was always going to be difficult for them to get up to them heights again. So I think what you're seeing here is you're seeing a team that has basically lost both of its coordinators. Certainly, when it comes to the run game, the offensive coordinator being a big loss. And also, I think a few guys from the O-line have gone, haven't they? So, am I right? Kevin Zietler's gone, hasn't he? And is it Frank Ragnar?
Kevin Zietler and Frank Ragnar retired, I believe.
Yeah. And I think that because the other thing I would say is that Goff got sacked 4 times in this game, and I do think that's also Goff is another one of these quarterbacks who he just there is not much of a rushing game from him. It is very much like he is the pocket passer, and you need to have a really good O-line in order to be able to keep him upright. And I think that kind of affects the run game as well. And so if you sort of put them all together, that's probably why it didn't really work very well. But yeah, I mean the offensive coordinator who's come in, John Morton, I don't know. Did he come in or was he promoted from within? I'm not sure.
I feel like when we did the pre-season, he was promoted, but I can double check that.
The defensive coordinator has been promoted. I know that.
Yeah,
but I can't remember.
Shepherd.
Yeah, I can't remember if John Morton was promoted from within or not. But we did see, didn't we? This happened a few years ago with the Eagles. They lost both of their coordinators, and the people that they brought in or that they promoted from within, it just didn't work the same. And then they got rid.
Sorry to interrupt. He was at the Broncos. He was the pass game coordinator.
Right. Okay.
24, and then came in 2025.
Yeah,
has come in this season.
So it's when you lose both your coordinators, it's very difficult to sort of like be able to keep the run going and keep it going as you were the year before. So I feel that there's reasons behind this, and that it's not like it's just going to be difficult for them to be able to. They've got to somehow change it so that they can get back to that run game and how, because that's the vital thing. They need to improve that O-line. They need to get better on the O-line, and if they can do that, then they can get back to having a really good run game. But I think it's going to be tough. It's tough when you've lost so much, that quality that you had with Ragnar and Zila. And obviously it's tough without Ben Johnson. I mean, the Monday night game hasn't happened as we're recording, but you just sort of think to yourself, if the Bears have a good run game tonight, that might be half the problem as well.
I would definitely say that their run game lost a bit of zip yesterday, and that is not down to. I mean, everyone preseason wise within the fantasy world, like Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be in number one. And I was like, well, no, he's not. He was very good at the back end when Dave Montgomery was injured, but Montgomery and him are, they are Sonic and Knuckles. They are Thunder and Lightning. That is their game, and I think that's how the Lions want to play them. I would say, when they were throwing, when Goff was forced to throw more to claw back the game, they still look, Amon-Ra still a stud. Sam Laporta stood. Jameson Williams just got extended the other day, a really good player as well. But yeah, when you look on their O-line, I mean, Taylor Decker's one of the best left tackles out there. Penei Sewell, the best right tackle in the league. Maybe one of the best defensive linemen in general in the league. You've got Tate Ratledge, the rookie at right guard, Graham Glasgow, who's moved from guard to center, but has got center experience, and then Christian Mahogany at left guard. I am reading this off of Our Lads. If anyone wants depth charts and stuff like that, Our Lads is a fantastic website. I use it quite a lot. So yeah, it's not the names that there were. It's not that experience, and maybe we're going to see that develop through the season, but it's a massive, massive point of difference. If you have an offensive line that can create the lanes, David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs are going to punish you. They are going to punish you. I don't think we should take away from the Packers defense. I thought the Packers defense was really good on the day as well. But what we saw from the Lions last season was they would overcome this, and they had that quality, and they were good enough to sort of punch in the nose. I just felt they lost a bit of grit in this game, personally. I thought there was not that sort of toughness that I've seen from the Lions in other games in this one.
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of a. I don't know. I just kind of felt like they could never get going. It felt like it was really tough. I actually saw a quick interview after the game with Colby Wooden for the Packers, and he came out and said that basically because Kenny Clark had been traded away, that was it. The Packers can't stop the run. And, how he sort of got a phone call from his dad or something on Thursday going, you bloody showed them what what you can do and what everyone, and tell them it's all a load of rubbish and all that. And they were, they were really, really motivated in order to stop the run. And especially because they knew it was Detroit as well, and how much the run game means to that offense and how well it does. So I think there was a lot of that to it as well. And I have to say, I kind of, so like I said, I did see a bit of it, just the game. And to me, just the whole away from the Lions for a bit, the whole place was louder than what it would normally be.
Oh, it was bonkers. Like I said, though I didn't watch the full game entirety, I've watched all the highlights in the entirety. And
Yeah.
that's why when I said that I didn't think I felt it just gave an air of that. But you can't ignore the narrative that it's a division game. It's in Green Bay, first game of the season. You've just made a seismic trade for one of the best defensive players in the league in Micah Parsons. The place unglued when he got his first sack. It went mental. Like they got Matthew Golden in as well. First round draft pick, first wide receiver for donkeys of years. They got to see play. This was a chart, and this is a cheese charged game, wasn't it? This one, to be fair.
But what was weird was it was just the noise would just come up every time Parsons came on the field. It was that simple. He didn't even really have to do anything. And of course, the other thing that was so strange was that actually in a lot of plays, he didn't do that much. He was only out there for 45% of the snaps, I think. And for a lot of plays, he didn't really do that much. But it didn't matter because it scared the hell out of the opposition. And that was enough because it opened up everybody else. And it's like, and I think that's kind of the issue, I think, as well. So it kind of like all of a sudden, they had to double team him, which then meant that the Packers had more guys protecting the run, sort of thing, and were able to stop Gibbs and Montgomery when it came to that. So I think that was half the issue as well. I think you're going to find that with the I think with the Lions and the run game, they will get it going again. It's not like it's not going to happen. They will get back to being a good run team. I just think it's, as we said at the before the season started, it's just they're not a 15-win team this year. I just don't think they will be. They're going to be more like a 12-win team. And I think that instead of being this really top high end run attack, they're just going to be a little bit off of that. But they're still going to be very good. And so I think you'll find that they'll be all right. It's just, and like I say, they were up against a highly motivated defense that wanted to make a point about stopping the run.
Wow, a Green Bay fan saying that the Detroit Lions are going to be just all right. They're going to be all right. I mean, you never thought you'd hear the day, would you? But today's that day.
There you go.
Adam, thank you very much for joining me, and thank you all for watching or for listening wherever you have found this podcast. Make sure you like and subscribe and follow us on social media for all of our fantastic content and our shows coming up. Like I said, we've got the college show coming this week as well with Alex and Andrew, the betting show as well over the weekend for all your betting needs. Remember, gamble responsibly with Andrew and Adam as well. We'll be back next week. Again, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. We'll see you again soon, and have a great rest of your week.